Hello and welcome. My name's Claire Evans and I'm going to be taking you through a client case that I was asked to provide for a firm, which really shows clients the options they have when they've pretty much maxed out all of their investment products and perhaps are looking at a VCT strategy for a high earner. I'm going to show you how we can show the client the tax that they would save in a plan and of course the dividend income that they could draw later on, perhaps in retirement if they wanted to. So without further ado, let's get cracking and have a look at the case we've got for Steve and Izzy Henry. So we've got Steve and his wife Izzy. They've got 2 young children. Izzy is a non-working spouse. The main goal that they've got in the plan is to provide £100,000 net income all the way through until the end of the plan. Income-wise, Steve is a high earner. He's got £600,000 there as an income. As I said earlier, his wife is non-working. So we've accumulated quite a significant savings and investment base. Steve and Izzy both have ISAs. Steve is contributing the maximum to those ISAs. He's contributed a significant amount of money to GIA wrappers as well, and they've got £500,000 in those. We've got some pension savings, and of course Steve is now caught with a maximum allowance of £4,000 and he is contributing the maximum to his non-working spouse's pension too. We have a property in the plan valued at 1.2 million and a smallish in comparison mortgage there. So a simple plan. In the timeline, I've kept it really simple because we're just using this to really showcase the VCT piece. Okay, so ordinarily I'd have filled this timeline out more if this was anything like a real plan, but just for today, I've kept it really pared back. So we want to have a look at the charts. So if we're looking at the cash flow chart, what we're seeing here is that we've got some surplus income each year in the plan, which is the amount above the black line. We are drawing on their savings and investments. And at the end of the plan, age 90, we can see that the funds would run out. Okay, so if we look at the assets, we can see that more clearly here with the liquid assets. And if we want to, we could obviously eliminate the property from the picture and just look at those liquid assets. Also, a really important chart for what we're doing today is the taxes chart. So this taxes chart will detail all of the tax and national insurance. Look here, if we drew heavily on those GIA accounts, we pay quite a lot of CGT as well. Okay, so that's another sort of tax that we need to bear in mind. And if you really want to dive into the detail, you can go to the year view. So the year view can be accessed by double clicking in any plan year, or you just click on the box here that says year view and that will hide or expand our year view. When we're in the year view, what I want to really focus on is this taxes part. Okay, so what we can see here is the income tax that Steve will pay and cumulatively in the plan, and then underneath that, each plan year we get a detailed breakdown of his taxes. Okay, so we can see if he's lost his personal allowance, and we can see when he's doing the VCT contributions the tax credit that would apply. Okay, so if I scoot forward, I can see the taxes due in any given plan year. So that's our base plan. If we run our insights for this family, a particular favourite of mine is the retirement spending. I really think this just simplifies everything and helps to really focus the client on what is their spending capacity, which in a lot of cases is what the client wants to understand and know. So although we're targeting £100,000, we're slightly short of that target, which we've already seen with the red bars right at the very end of the plan. But it probably wouldn't take a lot to really get us to where we needed to be in this plan with the current conditions that we're modelling. So I created a scenario, a what if scenario. I've just called this VCTs for simplicity. And in the investments product, you've got a VCT, Venture Capital Trust, as a wrapper, okay? So Steve's VCTs. Now, because this is a new VCT, the balance is 0, okay? So do bear in mind that if you have existing VCTs, then you would put the current balance as they are, okay? But of course, the client would have already had the tax relief on those products, so there'd be no tax relief on that current balance. It's only if there's a contribution going into the VCTs that you would then see the correlating tax credit, and that also of course depends on the client's earnings, so they've got to have the relevant taxes in the plan to get the tax credit if that's applicable, okay? Hopefully that's me stating the obvious, but sometimes it's good to remind us of those things. Okay, so we've got a contribution of 200k per annum, okay, so the maximum. In the growth field, I've got 0 capital growth, but I've got a 4% dividend yield. I'm actually reinvesting that yield in the pre-retirement years, okay, so I'm just leaving that in there. Of course, if I selected no, then that would show the dividend yield just coming into the plan from those early days. Timing panel is really important. So the timing panel allows you to set how long you're making the contributions for. Do remember that if you are making a contribution as a one-off, that my suggestion to you would be that you've got to have 2 events in the same year. So here, if we were doing a one-off contribution in year 1, we'd use planned start, and then what I'd probably do is I'd probably create another event, Steve VCT Cons End. So technically that's in the same year, but what you've got is the ability then, if your client says, oh, well, how about if I did VCTs for a couple of years? You don't have to create a new event. You can just slide this on the timeline, the timing panel. You can just slide this to wherever you want, and then that will reflect when those VCT contributions end. And it just makes it a little bit easier when you're navigating around. But for now, I'm going to reflect that Steve contributions end at retirement. The other thing to note is there's no withdrawal limit panel here in the VCTs. So this is quite an interesting product. It's a bit like EISs in as much as they're not drawn on automatically by the software. So you can't set the withdrawal to as needed or anything like that. Instead, what we can do is we can set up and plan our withdrawal strategy, our disinvestment strategy or withdrawal strategy. So what I've got as a selected plan withdrawal is that we are taking the dividend income, so that 4% dividend income, recurring, so we'll see the timing in a moment. We've got Steve's VCTs as the pot that we're taking that from, and the timing of that is from retirement until the end of the plan. So in this plan, it's going to look very different. So if we go to the graph, the Let's See graph, first of all, we'll notice that the black line goes almost to the top now. So we're pretty much using all of our available income. You've got this new purple tax credit colour coming in, and I'll show you that in the year view in a moment, but that's the tax relief coming back. And this yellow in the plan is the withdrawals from the VCT into retirement. So what we're seeing here is in those earlier years of retirement, bearing in mind he wants to go age 50, that's pretty much going to give him tax-free the income he's looking for in retirement. So if we go to the year view and we can deep dive into the taxes in a bit more detail, we can see that we've got the tax relief there. Okay, so the tax credit on that field there, and we can see that that continues through the plan, okay, because we're making those constant contributions. I think it's good to look at a comparison view at this point when we are in the taxes, because whilst we can see here that the taxes are lower, where it really stands out is in a comparison view. So when you're looking at one plan v the other, which in Voyant terms is a compare plans chart view, okay, you can show the client, okay, in the bottom half of the screen is our taxes in our base plan, And in the top screen, it's our VCT plan. And if I hover over that year when he first retires, okay, or just before he retires, we can see that the cumulative taxes in his base plan without the VCTs is £5.6 million. And the tax bill in the plan with VCTs, where he's had all of that tax relief, is roughly £800,000 less. Okay, so immediately you can show the client the impact of their taxes during their working years. And actually that compounds, because you recall in this plan we've got some CGT, we've got some income tax, and of course up to that point we haven't, okay, until we hit 75, and we've potentially got our lifetime allowance tax, which I'm sure we could do something with that. So that's the taxes graph. But again, where really we want to demonstrate the significance of what we're doing is when we're looking at our assets. And what you'll notice in a comparison view, you lose that color legend. So if you click on the 3 dots over here, you can actually pop that back, and then you can take off illiquid assets on the chart, and the chart will resize just showing the liquid assets. And again, sometimes it's difficult to gauge scale because of the size of the assets, especially in that top graph. But if you just hover over, say, age 70, you'll see there that in the base plan, we've got just short of 3 million, and we've got, 11.6 million in the plan at the in the VCT plan. And that's, remember, drawing the same level of income. So we're seeing there we got the double whammy of all the tax savings and tax advantages, but also of that investment pot that we've got there as an asset. Now, if we wanted to, what might be quite interesting is to, of course, have a look at the retirement spending analysis. So in the VCT plan, what would our potential capacity for spending be? All things, of course, being equal in these two plans, except, of course, the contributions. And we've got there a spending capacity of 170,000. So that's quite a significant uplift. So that's all good, and quite easy to show the client the value of what you're doing for them in that regard. But you might want to follow up with a written report, so you can come to the report section. We've got the taxes reports here, which I'm just going to focus on for the benefit of this session today. I've got my VCT plan. I'm going to choose the same, make the same selection. And then now we can generate that report. So let's have a little wee look at that report. So Stephen Izzy's report. So we've got here the simple graph that just shows the taxes in the plan, and then the year by year detailed tax summary. And then that goes on for quite several pages. And then we can have a look here at the what if plan, the VCT plan. The name of the plan is here in the bottom right corner if ever you forget. And then the detailed breakdown with the tax relief there shown in the report. So hopefully a nice little written summary that you can tuck into your suitability letter as an appendix, or take out the relevant information that you need. So hopefully that gives you a quick rundown of VCTs and how they work in Voyant. If ever you have any specific queries on any of your client plans that you're building, of course, please email support@plannedwithvoyant.com, or in the software, if you click on the client name, you can always request support by clicking the request support button and completing the details in that box. Okay, so hopefully you found that useful. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.